Hey guys, how's it going? It's Lee here. Hope you're all doing good today. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a question I got asked recently, which is, I was posting photos of my pedalboard online and someone said to me, do you not get tired of carrying that thing? I wouldn't have said I use the biggest pedalboard around. I think there's plenty of guitar players, that use much bigger boards than me with more pedals. But my board is, pretty substantial for doing a lot of the small shows that I do. So I just wanted to think a little bit about what options I might have available. And, if I was to go somewhere where I couldn't take my pedalboard, what could I do to ensure that I take the most amount of, different sounds in the smallest package? I did notice in recent years that the idea of the small form multi-effects pedal seems to be coming back, where there's a couple of companies doing these little fly rig style pedals where you get 4 or 5 different stomp boxes in one unit, which you could literally fit into a gig bag. These could be the big game changer when it comes to touring musicians or traveling musicians, or just people in general who don't want to take a lot of stuff with them to gigs. I have a great relationship with a guy named Richard who works for a company called Sonicake, and Richard has been very kind to send me a couple of their pedals over the last year. This is called the Twiggy Blues. It's one of they call them the Sonicbar, and it's just a 4 stomp box pedal, in one really small housing. It's great. It's made from, some form of metal. The foot switches feel really solid. The tones are great as well. It's a compressor, an overdrive, a delay, and a reverb. It's also got cabinet simulation for when you just need to go direct into the PA. It's a great little unit, and I wouldn't think twice about taking something like this along if I couldn't take my full rig with me. Now, Richard's also been kind enough to send me another one. Now, I haven't actually opened this yet. This is another one in the same line called the Rock Stage. To be honest with you, I've had this here for a couple of weeks now, but I just haven't had the time to actually, pull it open and make a video. So I thought today would be that day. This is the Sonicake Rock Stage. So I've read a bunch of reviews on this, and it's more of a rock focused one. So the one I have here, the Twiggy, this is more of your classic bluesy light overdrives. It's sort of I guess it's sort of been marketed as an answer to a dumble in a pedal box. But this is a different beast. Don't eat the silica gel. One thing that's really cool about Sonicake is they always package a 9-volt adapter with things. A lot of companies don't give you a power supply. These guys do, which is pretty cool. And these pedals aren't, they're not expensive pedals. They're very reasonably priced, and they're very well built. Richard did kindly send me these pedals, so these pedals didn't cost me anything. These have been sent to me by the company, but I'm not being paid to promote the pedals. I'm just talking openly about them because they're something that I actually like. So here is the Rock Stage. So this is the first time I'm seeing this as well. So this is a reverb, a delay, a chorus, and a rock amp. So I mean, most rock amps tend to be Marshall based, so I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that's probably the sort of tonal palette we're going to look at here. But, I've not heard it yet, so let's plug it in. So before we plug the Rock Stage in, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the sounds available on the Twiggy Blues. This is the first one that Richard sent me a couple of months back, and I love this pedal from the moment I opened it. It's got a lot of those dumble characteristics. It's got a nice low gain overdrive. The compressor's great. The reverb is fantastic. I'm using my Epiphone Les Paul, which, this is one of my favourite guitars. This is battle worn, tried and tested. I've owned this guitar for a long time, and it's been everywhere with me on multiple tours all around the country. And for all people will say bad things about Epiphone, this is a guitar that's never let me down. I've always loved the way it sounded. It's played in to the point where it fits my hand perfectly now. So yeah, I love this thing. I'm plugged straight into my Cool Amplification Blue Sky, and this is just the clean tone that I'm using. So here is the reverb on the Twiggy. So I've got the knob set to, just above 9 o'clock. If you add the compressor in, it just gives it a little more bite. So I've got the compressor currently set to 12 o'clock on both sides. The reason people have compared this thing to a Dumble style sound is that it just really rounds off the notes nicely. I mean, it's never going to sound like a real Dumble, because then you're talking, you know, 50, 60, 70,000 pounds and above, depending on who you ask and who's selling one. But I think if you're looking for that sort of rounded note sound that, you know, a lot of those guys like Bonamassa and John Mayer and B.B. King, this will get you close, and, you know, for very little outlay. The overdrive is pretty cool. It's sort of Marshall blues breakery, but maybe with a little more gain. So I would probably run it with the gain maybe there, and perhaps the volume up a little bit. And then obviously we've got the slapback delay, which is always fun. So that's with everything set to 12 o'clock. This is a really fun delay because you can dial in a really sort of short slapback. You can get even shorter than that. A little bit more. You can actually get some quite long delay times by increasing the time. I mean, if you put it all the way up, I don't know the exact millisecond delay that you're going to get here, but there's quite a bit of space. I'm not really someone who uses delay a huge amount in my own playing, but if I was going to use it, I'd probably set it to maybe somewhere around here, but I would turn the blend control down and the repeats down, so you just get this sort of fast slap, and I would use that in conjunction with an overdrive for a lead guitar tone. One thing I love about this delay is it's actually an analog delay, so if you manipulate the time control and the repeat control while there's a note playing, and if you do the same thing with the repeats, you can do all sorts of crazy oscillation stuff. That's hours and hours of fun. You can't really do that on a digital delay, but this thing does it really well. If nothing, I'd use a delay just for that. So if I was playing something, perhaps like ending a song, I might kick something like that on and just let it sort of self-oscillate into some sort of crazy outcome. So yeah, that's the Twiggy Blues. This is a really cool pedal. I've had a lot of fun with this one. I love the low gain overdrive. Yeah, that really works for me. So this is a cool pedal. Let's have a look at the rock stage. Okay, so same deal here, same guitar, same amp. Everything on this is currently set to 0 because I've not plugged it in yet. So before I start, I'm going to set everything to 12 o'clock. Just because I always think that's a nice starting point when you're testing out anything. So we've got chorus, a rock amp, overdrive, rock amp is the overdrive. So we've got chorus, rock amp, delay, and reverb, and a cabinet simulator again. So let's start off with the chorus. Okay, that's quite nice. Let's turn it up a little bit more. I quite like it when choruses do almost, you know, do a Leslie sort of thing. Okay, that's kind of getting more to what I like. Let's turn it up full and see what happens. Now that's probably how I would use it, more as a Leslie simulator. If I drop this down a little bit, keep the depth up. It's really cool for thickening clean parts. This does sound like a great chorus. It's just an effect that I personally don't use. But I would not hesitate to use it in a Leslie sort of way. Now that I quite like. Yep, I'm sold on that. So I'm going to assume that the reverb is the same. On the Twiggy it's called air, but on this it's just called reverb. I'm going to assume it's the same algorithm. It sounds pretty much the same to me. Possibly a little subtler at the same setting. Let's crank it a bit. There's still quite a bit of space to be had there. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's see what the Leslie sounds like with with the reverb. Now that's a sound I'd use. That sounds really good. The rock amp. Wow, that's loud. Wow, that is loud. Let's turn that down a little bit. Sounds like there's a lot of gain on tap here, and that's only at halfway. Wow, that's pretty meaty sounding. So I'm guessing this has got quite a bit of gain under the hood. Whoa, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of gain there. I would probably never play with that much gain myself. I'm more of a low to medium gain sort of player. So perhaps somewhere in this region would suit me. Bit of reverb. That works pretty well for me. if I was playing like some hard rock stuff, yeah, that sounds great. You know, first time using this, I'm really impressed. That's just directly into a clean amp. So the amp that I use has no drive of its own. So all the drive is coming from the pedal. I mean, let's crank the gain to about halfway. Drop the tone a little bit. I quite like an overdrive when it's a little bit darker. That almost does a plexi sort of thing. I'm very impressed with that, actually. The delay, again, I'm going to assume it's probably the same type of delay that's in the other one. It's got the same sort of controls. It's got time, repeat and blend. And we've got all the oscillation fun as well. So again, you can dial in a really cool, you know, an 80s style guitar tone, great for leads. That sounds really cool. The possibilities are endless with this. I could really see this being the sort of pedal that, you know, if I had to take a guitar and nothing else to a gig and I was going to use an amp that was there, I would gladly take one of these. You know, I'd probably take the Twiggy for most applications, but if I was playing with a rock band, the rock stage sounds great. I mean, it's fit for purpose. It seems to do heavy rock. It's got a lot of gain, it's got delay, it's got chorus. You can do a lot with this. Maybe if I dial the gain right back. Now that's the sort of tone that I probably use a lot of the time. Bit of overdrive with the Leslie. I would absolutely use that at a gig. So is this the way forward then? Is this what we as guitar players are going to be, you know, looking to in a few years? I know we've got all these really cool modelling things available to us, like we've got Kempers and Axe Effects and, you know, Helixes. But for those of us that just want a tangible analog product that we can shove in a backpack, I think this is the way that, you know, this is the way things are going to go. I think for the touring musician, as costs increase and revenue decreases, I certainly think that you know, if you want to get around on a budget, something like this is going to be great, because you could literally shove one of these in your gig bag. I mean, you could even take the two of them and have some sort of, you know, bigger pedal board. You'd have, you know, if I chained these two together, I'd have two different overdrives, I'd have a compressor, a chorus, two delays, two reverbs. I mean, there's a lot of content there. It's got the added bonus of the cabinet simulator, which is quite cool. I've not tested that into a PA system myself yet, but I know there's a lot of potential in that. So, you know, even if you had one of these as a backup, if your amp went down, this would certainly get you out of all sorts of sticky situations. So yeah, I think we're going to be seeing a big decrease in the big form pedal boards in the next few years. I think these offer a great alternative to transporting big rigs around, especially if you have to go somewhere just for one gig or you're playing somewhere with very limited space, you could really get by with one of these, I think. You know, they're great products. I'm very very grateful to have this good relationship with these guys, and you know, thanks again to Richard for sending these to me to try out. I mean, I love them, and I really need to integrate them into my live rigs at some point, just because I think that they would, you know, they would really complement the stuff that I already use. So yeah, these things are awesome. I'll put some links down in the description so you guys can check these out. Please do, I encourage you. These are a great pedal company. Sonicake, I've got the Twiggy Blues and the Rock Stage. If you're looking for a pedal that you could just shove in your bag and take to a one-off gig, or you know, a small rig for the house, and you don't want to set up your big pedal board, these are very inexpensive, and I think they'll certainly please a lot of people when you get your hands on them. So please try them out, and if you like them, let me know. I'd love to hear, you know, what other people think of this brand as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all soon.